That is, holy crap. That just completely changes the game. You're out on your photo shoot and it's that magical golden hour, and soon the sun begins to dip behind the horizon and it becomes blue hour. Does that mean that it's time to pack it in? As you continue to shoot, you notice one big problem. Your photos begin to look really grainy. So the problem you need to solve is, how do you keep your images really crisp while minimizing the noise within your photos? Well, let's dive into some specific camera settings that I'm using when shooting action sports in low light. But make sure that you watch to the end, because I'm gonna be showing you one of the craziest new tools within Lightroom that completely gets rid of noise while keeping your images really crisp. Okay, so when I'm shooting action sports in a low light setting, there's one thing that I'm always thinking about, and that is I need to compensate for my rider's movement as well as for my own movement. For example, if I'm shooting a dirt biker and my rider is riding right past me, I need to make sure that my shutter speed is high enough to compensate in order to have my subject sharp as well as the environment. So generally when I'm shooting environments like this, my base shutter speed is gonna be around 250th of a second. Then if I'm really moving with my camera, I need to raise that shutter speed a little bit more. But obviously what happens when you raise your shutter speed? Your image begins to get darker, and so to compensate for that, you need to raise your ISO. But we all know what happens when the ISO goes up. You begin to introduce noise within your image. Now I normally don't agree with the statement, fix it in post, but I'm gonna show you one of the craziest new tools that Lightroom just added to their platform to completely get rid of noise. Let me show you exactly how this works. Okay, so a shot that we're gonna be looking at here was a shot that was taken just at the end of golden hour. So there was a lot of contrast between the highlights and the shadows, making there a little bit more noise. So this shot specifically was shot at ISO 2500 and at an f-stop of 2.8 and a shutter speed of 320th of a second. So at the shutter speed, I was able to compensate for my movement as well as the rider's movement. Now, obviously, in order to compensate, to be able to have enough light within the shadows, I need to raise my ISO. And honestly, you shouldn't be afraid to raise your ISO. And let me show you exactly why. Let me show you what I've done already. So I did my own personal manual noise reduction. I mean, we're not gonna completely get rid of every single piece of noise within this photo, but let me show you one of the tools that is gonna blow your mind. So I'm gonna turn off everything here, make sure that that is all off. Okay, so as you can see, that's pretty rough. We're getting a lot of noise within the luminance as well as within the color. That's a lot of noise. So what we're gonna do is, within this new tool, if you don't have this noise reduction and it says diagnose, then you're gonna wanna update your Lightroom. It reduces noise with AI. So this is a cool new feature. So I'm gonna hit diagnose. It's gonna diagnose here, it's gonna load, and look at how much that took out. Okay, so when you click on this, this is a before without the enhanced, and then when you unclick, this is what the image looks like. That's insane. So you can go to, like, obviously the amount. So if I wanna lower the amount because I'm like, it looks like a little bit too creamy, then I can lower that amount, and probably I would go to about 40 because I'm okay with a bit of a stylized look. But like, look at what that does. It just completely reads the image. That is just mind blowing. That's insane. The color is like pixelated. It's just overall super, super grainy. And like, look at what this does. So I'm just gonna hit enhance, and it's just reading here. Holy crap, look at how clean that is. So I'm noticing that the focus was definitely pulled to the stump. My rider was not fully in focus, but just look at even how clear the stump is. Look at how clear the ground is. That just blows my mind. Holy smokes. And then if I wanted to pump the clarity and just like really emphasize the sharpness on your image, but from what it was before to now, that is just nuts. That's mind blowing. Okay, so this shot was basically shot at night. Like, it was like maybe blue hour. I really pushed that look. Like, this is a before and this is an after. So like, it was more of like that blue hour, but even still, it was super dark, super dark. Okay, so I'm just going to make sure that my effects are all turned off. Okay, we're good. And then detail, I'm gonna turn this off for both of these. And let's just zoom in here just to like see how grainy it is. And let's say if it's like an ad campaign and we want it to look really clean. So I'm just gonna make a duplicate of this just so that we can see a before and after. And so with this one, I am going to hit diagnose. That's insane, holy crap. Okay, so it almost looks as though it like sharpens the image a bit, which I don't mind. I'm okay with that. That is crazy though. Like, look at how crisp that is. Like, I don't know if it's pulling in more detail, like reconstructing the image a bit, but like, what is going on? That's insane. Okay, so I'm just gonna hit enhance. let it do its job. Okay, so now that it is finished, let's pull up the reference here. So I'm going to pull up an RNA version here, throw this sucker in. Let's just zoom in here to about the same. Okay, so the left is with enhanced and the right is without enhanced. Okay, let's just go full screen here. So the right side without enhanced, the left side with enhanced. That is, holy crap. That just completely changes the game. That is nuts. Like, it's almost like the grain within this image, even though like there is, yeah, sure, maybe it looks a little bit more textured, I guess you could say. It doesn't look like a big ball of mush with this crap. Like that grain, honestly, I don't even know if I could do it this good within the tools that Lightroom would give me before. Like this whole AI tool, I mean, like, look at how fast that did. Like maybe it was in like 30 seconds, it converted the photo. And here we are, like from this on the right to this. That is crazy, holy smokes. And just to give you an idea here, this image was shot at 160th of a second, and my rider was just kind of like in that process of moving, and my ISO was at 1250, and then my f-stop was at 2.8. But I'll show you another reference image here just to give you a good example of like how well it captured the motion. So this, obviously, it has a little bit more motion blur on it because the shutter speed was only at 160th of a second. And so there is still a little bit of that motion. Like I said before, you need to compensate for your own movement as well as for the riders. So I mean, if I wanted it really sharp, I think I would probably go to about 300th plus of a second just to make sure that it was nice and crisp. And then probably I would have had to raise my ISO. But for this night, I wanted a little bit more blur to my photo and I was okay with that. But you get the idea that as you raise your shutter speed, you also need to raise your ISO because the image is going to get darker. And so to make your image that much sharper, you need to raise your shutter speed. And as well, you need to raise your ISO. But now I guess we don't have to worry about that because the AI tools are just blowing it out of the water. That is just crazy stuff. I hope that you found this video helpful and you'll be able to implement these tools within your workflow. I know that I for sure will be because that just saves me so much time, so much hassle. And as well, I feel like when I was doing it on my own, doing noise reduction on my own, I was almost making the images look a little bit, I guess you could say, like kind of mushy because of like it being a little bit overdone, and so that I would pull it back. And I just couldn't really get that good balance, but I feel like it almost looks as though the AI is reconstructing that image a little bit, just kind of pulling details from different spots and kind of like filling in those gaps that is like really noisy and grainy. So I think that the AI tool is actually doing a way better job, and I will definitely be using it in the future. Comment below what you think of this new AI feature and if you'll be using it within your own workflow. If you're looking to take your editing to the next level, I think you'll like this video where I talk about mastering your photo editing in just 7 steps. All right, I'll see you over in that video. Peace. Look at the new hat that I got for my birthday. But wait, look at this. Check this out. Double hats. One black, one white.